Welcome back to the deep dive. We've got a really interesting one today because we're taking something that I think for most of us feels like a chore.
Something's cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Something comfortably sitting in the category of school subjects or maybe things I lied about on my resume, and we're going to completely reframe it.
It's a huge shift in perspective. I mean, usually when we talk about this, it's all syntax rules, memorization. It feels
Mhm.
so academic.
Right. But today, we're stripping all that away. I want you to just imagine a document for a second. It's not a passport. It doesn't have a government stamp on it.
Okay.
You don't have to stand in line at an embassy for it. But the source material we're looking at today argues that this one document grants you access to almost the entire world.
In a way that even the best passport can't. It's such a powerful metaphor.
It is, isn't it?
The text we're covering is titled The Universal Visa, English as a Key to Opportunity. And the core idea here is that English has kind of stopped being just a language in that old school sense.
And it's become, what, a tool.
A utility, a tool,
Yeah.
a visa.
The universal visa. I love that. And our mission today is to really unpack that. We're not talking about how to learn English, but why. We're looking at the actual doors this so-called visa opens.
Logistically, educationally, economically.
And what I found most interesting, psychologically.
Oh, that psychological part is huge, and we'll get there. But you're right, the text breaks this down into different kinds of access. It argues we get so bogged down in the mechanics. You know, did I use the right preposition? Is my accent perfect?
And you miss the whole point.
You missed the forest for the trees. The text suggests we need to focus on the function. What does this tool actually do for you?
Okay, so let's start with the most tangible function mentioned, the physical movement, travel.
Right. Section 1 calls this making the world smaller. And to get the value of this visa, you first have to feel the pain point it solves.
The scenario.
The text paints this picture. Honestly, it gives me a bit of anxiety just thinking about it. You land in a new country. You step off the plane.
The signs are in a different alphabet.
The announcements are just noise. We've all been there.
Oh, definitely. It's that immediate sense of vulnerability. You go from being a competent adult in your own country to feeling, well, helpless.
Exactly. You lose your agency.
Yeah.
The source describes this lost feeling not just as like not knowing where you are on a map, but as a real loss of control.
You can't solve even the most basic problems.
You can't ask for water. You can't negotiate a taxi fare. You are just at the mercy of everything around you.
And that's where the universal visa kicks in. The text argues English acts as a kind of universal fallback.
That's a really crucial distinction it makes. It doesn't say you need to speak the local language to feel confident.
Just English.
Just English. You could be in Tokyo or Berlin or Rio. You don't need to be fluent in Japanese or German or Portuguese to survive. The text highlights that English has just become the default interface for global logistics.
It's the solvent for that friction. I like that phrase.
It is. Think about the difference in experience. Without it, you're basically a package being shipped from A to B. You just hope the taxi driver's honest.
You hope the food you pointed at on the menu isn't something you're allergic to.
You're totally passive.
Huh?
But with the visa, you become an active participant again. The source talks about these simple survival phrases.
Like, excuse me, can you help me? Or how much is this?
Yeah, exactly. They seem so basic. But the text argues these phrases literally restore your autonomy.
It removes that foreigner penalty. You're still a visitor, sure, but you're not a helpless one.
Precisely. And that connects back to that line of the text. English makes the world feel smaller. It's not about geography shrinking. It's about the barrier to entry shrinking. The fear just evaporates.
Okay, so that's the physical logistics, moving your body. But the second section moves to something you could argue is much more valuable, the movement of ideas.
Education. And this is where it stops being about tourism and starts being about a real competitive advantage.
It makes a pretty bold claim here. It says, some of the best universities, courses, and books in the world are in English. I mean, to play devil's advocate, that sounds a little biased, doesn't it?
It does, and we should acknowledge that. But the source frames it less as a value judgment and more as just a statistical reality of the current academic world.
So whether we like it or not, it's become the operating system of academia.
The operating system. That's a
Yeah.
great way to put it. And if you're not running that OS, some programs just won't load for you. The text drills down into this concept of the translation lag.
The translation lag. Okay, let's unpack that.
Well, imagine a groundbreaking paper on AI is published, or a new economic theory, or a tutorial on some new software. It's almost certainly published in English first.
Right.
If you're relying on your native language, you have to wait. You wait for a publisher to buy the rights, for a translator.
The printing, the distribution,
Mm,
that could take years.
it often does. Or, for a lot of niche stuff, it just never happens at all. The text says, knowledge travels faster in English. If you have the visa, you have real-time access.
It's an arbitrage opportunity. You're getting information before everyone else in your local market.
That's a perfect way to frame it. Information arbitrage. And you get autonomy, too. You aren't dependent on what a local publisher decides is worth translating for you. You go straight to the source.
It shifts the dynamic from waiting to be taught to going out and learning.
Correct. Okay, so we've got physical mobility and intellectual mobility. That leads right into the third pillar, economic mobility, the career.
The main motivator for a lot of people.
And this is where the source argues that English has completely shifted categories. It used to be seen as an art, a humanity.
Yeah, something for the interests section of your resume next to hiking.
Exactly. But the text calls it a professional skill. It puts it in the same box as coding or data analysis. It's a hard skill now.
And what does that hard skill unlock? Specific.
It gets very specific. The big one is the removal of geographic barriers to employment. This is the whole remote work revolution.
A total game changer. The idea that your job market is no longer defined by how far you can commute.
Precisely. The text says with English, you can apply for jobs without ever leaving your country. You could be in a small town anywhere in the world, working for a company in New York.
So you're earning a global salary while living with a local cost of living.
That is the ultimate economic leverage. You don't have to physically immigrate to economically immigrate. The visa lets the opportunities come to you.
That distinction is so important, but it also mentions benefits for people who want to stay in their local companies, right?
Yes. It notes that even within domestic companies, you often hit a ceiling without English. If you want to be a regional manager or deal with global suppliers,
It's the gatekeeper.
it is. The text puts it bluntly. English allows you to earn better salaries. It's just supply and demand. If you can speak to the whole world, your value is just higher.
Okay, so we've covered the logical, the educational, the financial. Very left brain benefits. But now we get to the human element. Section 4 calls English a bridge between cultures.
This is really the heart of the text, I think. It moves away from the transactional stuff money, flights, diplomas, and into connection.
And there's one metaphor in here that really struck me. It says, English helps your voice travel further.
It's a beautiful line, isn't it? Helps your voice travel further. Think about what that means. If you have a joke, a story, an idea, but you only speak your native language.
Your audience is capped. It's geographically limited.
But with this visa, your potential audience is billions. You can contribute to the global conversation, not just consume it.
And this is the big fear, right? Trying to connect in a second language is terrifying. You feel a bit stupid sometimes.
The paralysis of perfection. The source tackles this head on. It offers this really comforting advice that's completely the opposite of how we were taught in school.
What's the advice?
It says explicitly, you don't need perfect English.
Really? My high school English teacher would definitely disagree.
Chuckles, I'm sure. But the text reframes the goal. In school, the goal is accuracy. But in the real world, the goal is connection. The prerequisite isn't fluency, it's the courage to communicate.
Courage over perfection. That changes everything.
It does. If you stumble through a sentence with bad grammar, but the other person understands and laughs at your joke, you've succeeded. You built the bridge.
Connection, not correction.
Well put. Which brings us to the final section. We've talked about external things, travel, jobs, but this last part is all internal. It's about the self.
This was the part that surprised me most.
This internal shift. The text claims learning English builds confidence and independence in a way that can actually alter your personality.
That's a huge claim. How?
It goes back to that dependency we talked about. When you rely on a translator or a guide or a friend to speak for you, it's almost a childlike state.
You're waiting for someone else to interpret the world for you.
Exactly. But when you speak for yourself, even imperfectly, you reclaim your independence. And then it drops this massive line. Learning English changes how you see yourself, not just how you speak.
It's an identity shift.
It is. Think about the self-image boost from navigating a crisis in a foreign country on your own. You prove to yourself, I am a person who can handle the world.
Right. It's not just about getting access to places. It's about getting access to a more capable version of yourself.
It's self-expansion.
So to bring this all together, we started with the metaphor of the universal visa.
We saw how it works for travel, removing friction and making the world feel smaller.
Then the speed of knowledge, bypassing that translation lag to get information in real time.
We moved to the economy English as a hard professional skill that unlocks global opportunities.
Then the human connection, building bridges with courage over perfection.
And finally, that internal shift. The confidence and independence that comes from knowing you can handle yourself anywhere.
It's a really compelling case. It turns the motivation from, I have to do this for a test, to, I want to do this for my life.
Absolutely, the language becomes a key.
Before we sign off, I want to leave our listener with one final thought. We've talked about how this visa lets you go out into the world, but I want to pivot off what you said about identity.
Go on.
If language creates your reality, and if learning English actually changes how you see yourself, are there parts of your own personality that you just haven't met yet?
That's deep.
I mean, think about it. Is there a bolder or a funnier or a more adventurous version of you that's currently locked away, simply because you don't have the language required to let them out?
That is a profound question. We usually think about what we can get from a language, not who we can become through it.
Something to mull over. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
It was a pleasure.
Keep learning, keep unlocking, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.